So this next one, it's a longer question. Yeah, there's a bit of connection to what we said before, but there's some difference as well. So let me read this one. I've been in the 3 principles for about 18 months and think I'm in spiritual denial. I was in a group where there was, in hindsight, inappropriate behaviour, and I should have called it out. But at the time, I was so confused about what was going on. I was first of all thinking, oh, it's them, they're in their thinking, and that's for them to understand and clear up. That's not for me to do for them. Then I started to think I was lost in my thinking, and that I was creating that experience through my thinking, and that therefore it was me that needed to do some inquiry, some clearing up, some understanding. Thinking that I was seeing it as wrong because of my beliefs. And then mixed in with all of that was because I've also heard everything is okay as it is. So then I was like, well, therefore there's nothing to do with this. How could that person's behaviour be wrong? Because I've also been told that everything's okay. So you can hear in this how much, and I've been here too, how much we can get confused in the exploration. Again, it's kind of going back to the first response, in fact, around when the mind gets involved. When the mind hears an idea and starts to think, oh, I'll get out my trusty tool which says that's their thinking, or I'll get out my other trusty tool which says that's my thinking, or I'll get my other trusty tool out which says it's all okay exactly as it is. All of which is exactly like the question identified at the start, forms of spiritual denial. It's ways of the mind using this understanding in, frankly, an unhealthy way, in an unintended way. I mean, the mind doesn't mean it. It's not trying to be bad. It's all it knows to do. Look for something that's going to make me feel better. Look for something that's going to supposedly give me certainty. Look for something that's supposedly going to put me in control. Great. Now I've got some tools. I'm going to use those tools. And next time something bad comes up, now instead of having to go and have a glass of wine, I can just say, oh, it's just their thinking, or oh, it's just my thinking, or oh, it's all okay exactly as it is. Brilliant. I've got some amazing get out clauses now to difficult situations. That's kind of the thought process the mind goes through. But as we touched on in the first question there, that's like it is just the innocence of a mind that all it can do is take something and apply it. Take and apply, take and apply. Take this rule, apply it, apply it, apply it, apply it to every single circumstance. Now, in some ways it's true. It is the other person's thinking that will be leading to their unhelpful behaviour. In some ways it's true that your thinking is the lens through which you're seeing this experience, and it's absolutely true that everything is okay exactly as it is, because otherwise it wouldn't be here, it wouldn't be happening. And you are fundamentally okay because you are before any of it. You are the fundamental nature of all of it. So there is truth in everything that's being said. The only problem, and it's not a problem, it's a teaching point really, it's life teaching us, is this is an example of the mind trying to take these ideas it's heard and cookie cutter them across all of life. And that's just not how it works. Because the way it works is through genuinely being present in the moment, or having a genuine insight in the moment about what's going on. And that just being spoken or not spoken, acted on or not acted on in the world, with absent of all mind-made ideas at the level of the whirlpools. So it's the difference between this person's experience where they have come into the world via the whirlpools, which are saying, what's the right thing to do? How do I stay certain? How do I get it right? This whole new spiritual exploration. What's the right thing to do? What are the right words to say? What's the right tool to bring out of my toolkit? So via that whirlpool layer of beliefs, Now the world is looked at with this person's inappropriate behaviour. And first of all, there's confusion, because whirlpool's nature is to swirl and to contradict each other and to debate and to discuss and analyse, and which is the right way, which is the right way, which is the right way. So the world is looked upon down there at the content level of the river, and it's confusing. I have no idea what to do now. And in fact, I'm so identified with these whirlpools, I'm just swirling round and round in my thoughts. And no words are being spoken to the world, no action is being taken, because I'm in these ideas of the mind. It's their thinking, it's my thinking, it's meant to be all okay. Oh yeah, so do I do something? No, I don't think so. I think we just sit here and we wait, because haven't we heard that as well? That if we just wait, this will pass, like all things pass. Yeah, let's just wait. And then, but it's all okay anyway. Yeah, so it's fine, we can just wait and everything will settle down and it'll all be okay. You know, this is the kind of mental narrative that we get into, which absolutely is the stuckness of whirlpools and can be labelled spiritual denial, because we're using ideas to deny the reality of what's happening. Because let's contrast that with if I come into the experience of life downstream, not going via whirlpools, and I see inappropriate behaviour in the world, the words and the actions just come that say, no, that's not appropriate. No, I don't like that. No, I don't think you should be doing that. And it just makes so much sense. It's so obvious. It's the most logical thing to do or say. Completely absent of any spiritual understanding or ideas or cute phrases. It's life meeting life and responding to life in that moment. And notice, you'll recognise right now, I'm sure, times of those two distinct experiences. So you can recognise the kind of clarity and assuredness and freedom with which you speak when you just come purely downstream into the world and respond to it exactly as it is. And I'm sure you also recognise the experience of coming downstream, getting caught in the mind-made whirlpool ideas, and therefore not taking action. And in fact, probably later on, berating yourself, wishing you'd done something different, using that old, oh, in hindsight, I should have really done something. But of course you couldn't, because you were identified with a mind that was debating what's the right answer. How do I get this right? How do I get certainty? How do I get control? So of course nothing could happen. Of course you couldn't act. Of course you couldn't speak up. And of course what you really want is that pure flow downstream, to be in close relationship with life exactly as it is, absent of resistance to it. But absent of resistance to it doesn't mean passive. An absence of resistance just means I'm not going via whirlpools. And so our pure expression has perfect ability to say yes, no, okay, not okay, I like this, I don't like that. All of that is available. So in fact, this person asking this question is perfectly correct. Yes, spiritual denial was, as the signs of it, most likely happening in that moment. And it's there for a reason. Because when we have those experiences and we see how we couldn't speak up, we see the consequence of what happens in the world as a result of that, we feel then the subsequent thinking that says, oh, you should have said something. So the same mind, the same whirlpool mind that said, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't think we should do anything, yeah, it's perfectly okay as it is, yeah, let's not act, is the exact same mind that then 30 minutes later, 2 days later, a week later says, oh, you should really have done something, that really wasn't okay. Yeah, you should totally have spoken up in that moment. Really? Really, mind? You didn't tell me that at the time. But perfect, because it's all showing us all of that suffering, and we talked about suffering this week as well, all of that suffering is there beautifully, perfectly, in order to wake us up to the fact we're doing that in the first place, in order to have us see that we are going via a whirlpool idea and how the outcome is suffering. Indeed, the experience of it at the time is suffering. And to allow us to have this kind of conversation where we then can contrast that with the times when we come purely downstream into pure, intimate connection with life exactly as it is, with our yeses and our nos and our that's okay and that's not okay. And we all know, we all feel that that's really what we want. That's really the freedom that we're looking for. So such a great example, and you know, that, take that across all of your life. That's happening in various places all the time. There might be different words used to avoid or deny it than those spiritual phrases that this question had brought, but that same experience is happening everywhere, in little ways, in big ways, and our navigation of it is that feeling of it. Notice the feeling when we're caught in the whirlpools and how yucky that feels, how stuck that feels, how not aligned that feels, and then contrast that with the times when you're in pure flow, responding to life exactly as it is, how grounded that feels, how aligned that feels, how right that feels, how obvious it all feels. That's our barometer for whether we're caught up in the ideas of a mind or whether we're being our pure, genuinely spiritual self and responding to life as it is. Lovely. So yeah, I'm going to go on with one more question. Yeah, I'm going to go on with this one more question about our experience. And then I've just got a few that people have asked about what's available in terms of offers and services, and then it will be the free gift. So if you want to hang around for that, do stay tuned. So this last question then, which is another great one, which often gets asked. 2 seconds. So this last question: when I look to my essential nature, it doesn't feel like anything special or worthwhile to do. It's just emptiness and neutrality. So what's the point? And it's it's such a great question, such a familiar question, me too, from the beginning of the exploration. And yeah, is kind of again a great example where the mind is saying, what's the point? The mind is getting involved, because for a mind, if you imagine the whirlpools in the river, so if you imagine you're at the level of the whirlpools right now, all that level of river can do is look downstream. It can just look to the world, it can look to the content of life, and it loves that. It's like a candy store. Sights and sounds and colours and objects and people, and oh wow, look at all this stuff I can look at. Look at all this stuff I can get involved in. So a mind loves that. A mind loves stuff. It loves objective experience. It loves objects, things. And although there isn't, to an extent, it can turn upstream and look upstream to who you really are, its biggest love is looking to stuff, to looking at the content. And so and it's been doing that all its life. You know, from when we were born, our attention has been directed, for most of us at least, outwards. We've been invited, encouraged, taught to look downstream. Look at all the stuff. Yeah, get your job sorted. Yeah, get your partner sorted. Get your kids sorted. Oh, look at that car. Yeah, go buy that car. We've been taught to look at the stuff. So at the beginning, in this exploration, when we are inviting the mind to turn around and look upstream, to see what is it that's looking? What is it that's aware of the mind? What is it that's aware of all the stuff? And it hates it. It's like, you're taking me away from my candy store. Why are you doing this to me? So often people will say to me things like, oh, no, I just don't like it. It's a bit abstract. You're not showing me anything. This feels really pointless. Or can actually get quite scared and quite cross and say, stop it. Stop making me look up there. I want to look down here. But as we look, and when we do look, and when the mind first looks and sees what is before the river, what is before all the content of experience, what is it, who is it that I most essentially am before all the stuff, at first glance, the mind's like, there's nothing there. It's empty. There's just nothing. Like, why would I look to that? That's pointless, which is exactly what this question is saying. At best, the mind might see it's neutral. It's a neutral, empty space. Okay, so what? Why do I care about that? But over time, as we continue to look, and as we continue to become familiar with the nature of that seeming emptiness, which looks pointless, and we come to recognise that, in fact, that is the most essential aspect of ourselves, and that is the undivided, unseparatable aspect of all experience. That is the movement into the wholeness that everyone is looking for. That is the movement into the knowing of the non-separation of you and I. Yes, there's the appearance of separation here at this content level, but at our essence, at our most fundamental, nobody has ever found any evidence of separation at that level of awareness, that seeming nothingness, but which is the space of awareness. It is the fact of awareness. And in the recognition of the absence of separation there, that is the remembering of ourself. That's the remembering of the permanence of ourself, the constantness of ourself, the primacy of ourself, and that all oneness that people talk about is that. And the reason people talk about it being so worthwhile looking towards is because ultimately that is the feeling of love and completion and home that really everyone's looking for everywhere else. We've been looking for it downstream in the content. We haven't found it because it was always upstream in our essential nature. And when that's seen, it's so settling. It's the consistent feedback we receive through readers just emailing us, or people in the book group, or self-study members saying there's just more settledness, there's just more okayness, there's more calm. Even if the foreground is doing this, there's a calm that's known, more fundamental than this that's happening at the front. And that's really what we want. That remembrance of ourself, that feeling of ourself. It's what we're looking for in everything else we're doing. So yes, absolutely, in the beginning, the mind will say, that's pointless. Why would I bother doing that? I've got a whole candy store of stuff out here in front of me. Why on earth would I look upstream and look to emptiness? But we will keep looking. When it makes sense to us, we keep looking. And we keep looking, and we see deeper and deeper and deeper, and recognise and recognise and recognise. And that recognition of our nature grows and grows in that feeling of the heart and the connection and the love and then the more loving behaviour towards others. We stop trying to rescue others. We stop trying to people please. We stop trying to control or look for certainty, because this is the space of deep okayness. That's the deep okayness that we've referred to in some of the previous questions, which allows all of what's happening downstream and includes all of what's happening downstream, all the yeses, all the nos, all of the likes, all of the dislikes, all included. The okayness is before all of that.